Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome to Carrier Command 2. And let me just begin this video by stating, quite unequivocally, for the love of baby Jesus, do not purchase this game unless you have at least 2 friends willing to play it with you. Whilst you can theoretically play this game single player, you really kinda can't. I mean, I'm sure there's a whee as I go completely airborne there. I am sure there is a theoretical possibility, but you're gonna have to operate every single battle station by yourself at all times, and it's gonna get rather hectic rather quickly. That is, however, sadly not the only problem with this release. The release itself caught me, and I know quite a few others as well, by considerable surprise, as the open playtest came out just a little while ago, and I think everybody expected it to maybe have a couple more rounds of playtesting with a final release in maybe a year or two's time or something like that. Nope, it popped plopping onto the market just, a month or so later or something? Quick. Very quick. A little bit too quick. Right now, the game has some pretty serious problems with multiplayer connectivity, both leading to some players being unable to connect at all, and other players experiencing ridiculous, connectivity issues, to the point where you click on a console, and it takes a whole minute or more for you to actually zoom into the console, whilst walking, apparently, is just fine. A weird little bug right there. Again, that's when you can actually connect to the game. But these are bugs that will hopefully be ironed out relatively swiftly. More annoying to me is the lack of overall information, and that's a real shame too, because good God, I want to love these microprose games. I recently did a video on High Fleet. I highly recommend you go and have a look at that, because that game, much like this game, just... this is what we need. Like, this is absolutely what gaming needs right now, as again I go airborne. This is a remarkably durable aircraft carrier that doesn't mind being submerged either. I wish I could submerge it properly. That'd be funny. A massive submersible aircraft carrier, but anyways. Games like this and High Fleet are so unique, so interesting, and so damned willing to take a little bit of a risk to go like, no, you know what? We think there's a market for games like this, and screw you, we're gonna prove that. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I'm really genuinely hoping that microprose will turn out to be essentially the saviors of video gaming. I know it's a bit of a grand title to hoist upon them already, but High Fleet, dripping with personality. Carrier Command 2 does the same thing, but like High Fleet, there are a lot of little itsy-bitsy things that really should have been in place. Now, the game is played by interacting with all of these various consoles. You can click on all of the button flips, all of the little switches, etc. And that will then activate other readouts. Like, for example, if I arm the civs on the side here, you will... Oh, actually, no you won't, because I've disarmed the weaponry. I am actually a submarine. There we go, turn on the breaker, and there you go. The civs are now online. Same for the AA, I can kind of take that on as well. Can also activate guns, and all of that is reflected on the in-game screens. I'm going to turn these off right now because I'm trying to move as quickly as possible. You can also control everything blanket-wise by turning off power to certain sections entirely, which you can see over here on the power management screen. Right now, everything is put into propulsion, so I can make the best possible street speed towards my next objective. This is really, really cool. The logistics system as well is everything is done via these in-game monitors, which is really cool and nice and immersive as well. You can change the loadout on your vehicles, the Albatross. You can change the cameras, the weapon mounts. You can add or take away countermeasures. Like, for example, I can add on IR flares here to my little Razorbill helicopters. There you go. You've also got ground vehicles like the Walrus. You can change out its weapon too. You can change cameras to it. In this case, I am going to pop a observation camera on the head of Walrus S3. Sadly, you can't rename them, which is really annoying. Like, you should be able to, because how am I going to remember that S3 is my observation camera, Walrus? I'm probably not, to be fair. That's the problem. I would love to be able to name it, yeah, like Observation 1 or OB1 or something like that, because observation camera allows you to guide in laser-guided missiles, so it's kind of important to be able to tell them apart. You can also set up the screens to carry various information. I can have a cartographic screen, a wind screen, a perception screen, a fog screen, ocean currents, or ocean depths, for example. Right now, I've got wind on this one, I've got cartographics here, and I've got ocean currents over here. We're currently struggling against the currents, which is far from ideal, but such is life, isn't it? You've also got a holographic view over here, which gives you a more in-detail strategic look at everything going on. You can also see the little barges on the map. They're currently wandering around, bringing supplies back to a warehouse so that eventually the warehouse can resupply my carrier, which is very necessary because I've only got 1 bar of fuel left, and this is where we get to one of the problems. What the hell does 1 bar of fuel mean? How much fuel is that? How many units of fuel is that? How much time do I have left? How much distance do I have left? Can I make it to the next island? Can I make it close to the next island? Can I shut off the breakers to increase my fuel efficiency? I don't bloody know, and the game doesn't bloody tell me. The rest of this is just, oh, hey, fuel efficiency. I guess that kinda tells me. Except I don't know what the hell this thing is pointing at. It's just 2 things. Very well. But I'm sure it's something. This also extends to all of the actual fighting nonsense. I can go over to a vehicle screen over here, for example. Right. This is a barge. How far is the barge away from me? I haven't the foggiest bloody clue. Where's the barge heading? I haven't the foggiest bloody clue. Right? Is the barge radiating anything? Does it have active radar, sonar? I don't know. What is its bearing relative to me? Not the slightest bloody clue. And this extends to aircraft as well. How high is an enemy aircraft flying? I don't know. Where's it going? I don't know. Is it armed with something? Etc, etc, etc. And this then adds itself on top of the fact that the game has almost no teaching capacity. There is a tutorial of sorts, but it's the kind of tutorial which goes like, right, if you need to turn on the engine, press that button. The wheel steers the thing. There you go. Go to war, my son. Hold on. How do I fire the weaponry? How do I use the laser-guided missiles? How do I use the cruise missiles? How do I use the TV-guided missiles? What's the point of smoke, etc, etc? Game's not overly interested in telling you, unfortunately, which is a kind of big problem. Now, let me... Oh, hey, the massive goddamn waves have calmed down a little bit. That's good, because that'll give me a little bit more speed. Fantastic. Let me get to my next objective, and I'll engage in some combat, and we'll take it from there. And here we are, a lovely little mini volcano thingity-bob island. The story of the game, and there isn't much of one, is that this planet has a bunch of automated factories. This is the enemy conquering its happy little way towards me right here. And you need to sink the enemy carrier. Strictly speaking, that is the only objective, so you could potentially just go straight for it, but these various islands have benefits and production capabilities, all carried out by automated factories. For example, the one we're right next to now should be, I believe, a barge factory. Let's see here. Yes, it is a barge factory, which could be quite useful since I do need myself some more barges. I have a lot of waiting in my future right here, and there's no speed up time button, by the way. None. I am going to have to wait until one of these barges, this one right here, can make it the next 20 kilometers to the warehouse, and once it does, I then need to wait for it to unload all of its fuel, before then waiting to finally see it walk all the way over here, over to me, to deliver my fuel. This is a game that requires a certain degree of patience, to put it rather mildly. Meanwhile, we've also got these two other barges that are carrying weapons and air chassis back and forth. And I do have an outstanding delivery order for fuel. Hopefully, when this one finishes delivering the turrets, as it is doing now, 10 kilometers away, it'll start heading to me with some fuel. The islands vary considerably in the level of defenses available. This is a fairly basic island right here, it looks like. So we'll just have a few ground vehicles to kill in all due likelihood. There are also ships and, of course, aircraft too that might attack you, and they can turn things quite complicated quite quickly. Oh, we've got one enemy over there as well. I'm currently using the tracking camera mounted on the carrier itself to identify them. This can also be used to guide in weaponry. And we've got a little one hiding over there too, but I can't quite spot that one. Oh, we've got a bunch of little ones there too. Right, let's launch ourselves a spotting vehicle. Let's see. Anyone equipped for this? A3 has got tons of 20mm cannon pods. That's lovely. Let's do that. Let's get A3 on the wings, and I'll follow that up with A1. I gotta send some energy to the lift systems. Let's also activate the radar and the weapons as well, because why not? And we'll turn off propulsion completely and repairs just in case. Now, all of what is currently happening is fully animated inside of the ship on this extraordinarily pixelated screen right here. You can actually see the vehicles begin deploying. Let's see, I can go down to the first floor in this lovely little elevator inside of the ship, all of which is modeled, though there isn't any crew or anything like that to wander around and add a little bit of an extra sense of immersion to it all, although there are crew quarters. Pitter-patter, 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 pitter-patter. And here we are. So you can see the helicopter getting lifted up on the crane right there, being brought over, and that will be placed down here and ready to be put on the lift to be brought up after the Albatross. Like, this is really cool. Like, this is really, really quite cool. And off it goes. Now, I am going to pitter-patter my way back upstairs before my Albatross gets shot down, as that would be slightly unfortunate. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Hurry, 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 elevator. No Muzak in the elevator either. The soundtrack is a... is 6 or 7 hints repetitive, if I'm to be entirely honest. I've practically turned it off at this point, but hey, at least it has a soundtrack. That is something, if nothing else. Now, how do you control aircraft? Well, you can control them manually, though doing so is not comfortable. Not comfortable at all. Let's go to the vehicle control, zoom out. Where the hell are we? We're down over here. Right, this is our Albatross. So I am going to give it some waypoints, and I'm not going to do that. That's silly. I'm going to tell it to go up to 1,200 whatever, I don't know, feet, meters, hell, does it make any difference? And I'm going to give it the order to do a bit of a patrol run here. Then I'm going to jump onto its camera, and I'm going to take manual control of the gimbal-mounted camera here. Right, is the stabilizer on? Oh, there we are. Okie dokie, so we've got what appears to be an enemy seal, perhaps? Right, little seal ground vehicle there, yep. What else we got? We've marked that one. Oh, hello, little sneaky boy. Let's mark you as well. If you don't mark them, your vehicles will not be able to see them at all. Like, even if you're heading straight towards them with weapon systems active, they will not spot them. So you gotta do this, and I believe you've got to do it almost always manually. I've seen the albatrosses be able to spot some vehicles, but honestly, I'm not sure whether that was accidental or if I maybe spotted it with the carrier systems earlier. Alright. There's a lot of seals on this island. There's nothing particularly heavy, but there is a lot of them. The Seal is the basic bitch ground vehicle armed with just a little bit of just a little cannon. Nothing particularly dangerous to my Albatross. It's flying well outside of their effective gun range, so nothing to worry about there. I think we've probably tagged most of them right now, if indeed not all of them. Our Razor Bill has taken off as well, so I'm going to move that over here. And I'm going to take control over the Razor Bill, which is the helicopter. Alright. Now, I'm going to take manual control, and you can then steer the vehicle. There is no mouse controls whatsoever, so all of this is done using the WASD keys and the arrow keys. It is an exceedingly uncomfortable control system. I'm sure if you get used to it enough, it'll be relatively alright to use, but man, mouse controls. Mouse bloody controls. Just basic mouse controls instead of the bloody arrow keys would make this so much easier. Right. Let's stabilize out here. There's no stabilization key either, which is really annoying. Like, just give me a hover key. Like, alright, I'd like to hover here, please. No, you gotta just really carefully just hit the buttons just right, level out using the UI, which is color, by the way, you can't change, which is rather annoying. Well, right. Am I stable? I'm about as stable as I'm gonna get. Right, let's activate one missile, take manual control over it. And now you can see we can lock onto things. Theoretically, you should be able to cycle through targets. Theoretically, I don't know how you're supposed to do that. The manual tells me that I'm supposed to just continue to hit the lock button. The manual bloody lied to me. As currently, I can only lock onto that seal over there. So let's, again, just dip it around a little bit. Turn it, turn it. Careful. Let it out. There we are. No manual adjustment either, so you're then going to bring it back level. There we are. Right. Fox 2. IR missile away. I do love the visuals, though. Like, that is genuinely something to watch right there. And dives down. That is cool. That is cool, isn't it? Right. Second missile alive. Fox 2. And off it goes. The visual aspect. Where the hell Oh. Yeah, that's another thing as well. Sometimes what you lock onto is not necessarily what the weapon locks onto, which is partially reasonable. But only partially reasonable. Right. Let's have the Albatross do a gun run to finish that one off. That should not be a problem at all. And meanwhile, let's begin deploying some land and sea asset. Here we are. All of our naval assets, naval, quote-unquote, amphibious assets are on the way. Meanwhile, why don't we enjoy watching the Albatross carrying out a quad 20mm gun run? That sounds like a good idea. I'm being a little bit risque with this, but seals with, what, 20mm cannons? Their odds of shooting down an Albatross are not exactly amazing, though I'm coming in nice and low now for my gun run. Right, target dead ahead. That is pretty cool, isn't it? That is pretty gosh darn cool. Right, let's move that Albatross away. all of them manual. There, all of them linked. Right, let's be crazy and try a manual gun run, shall we? Oi boy, oi boy, oi boy, oi boy. Honestly, the Albatross is in one way slightly more comfortable to control, and in another way, not comfortable to control in the slightest. Right, all of the weapons markers have disappeared, which is not helpful. Right, I'm supposed to have a couple targets ahead of me. Oh. Yes, you've got the bloody weapon manually selected as well. That was it. Gosh darn it. Oh, hits. And all of this, again, with the bloody WASD and mouse keys. Oh, just give me mouse control. Why on absolute God's good green earth are there not mouse controls? There's a bloody joystick right in front of me, and you can't use mouse controls. Inexcusable. Absolutely, genuinely inexcusable. Right. Let's get the walruses lined up here. I can't even see which one is which because the icons overlap and there's no real way to, like, tell one apart. They also need different icons. Like, a walrus should not have the exact same icon as a seal. Like, that's silly. I'm not going to need the AA seal here, but I am going to need this seal. Right. You can also connect to the ground vehicles, of course, and take manual control over their weapons arrays. I am out of range of locking onto anything. That's fine for now. Right, that's a walrus, that's a walrus. So that... No, that's not a walrus. That, and that. Those walruses are walrus marks. Okay. Let's drag those out. There we are. And they can begin heading inland right there. Like so. You can also carry out weapon support with the carrier. I can arm the main gun here, jump into the view scope, take control of the naval camera, make sure that I've got the gun selected. There. Let's see, anything standing halfway still that I can bomb with a degree of certainty? Good enough. Bam, 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 bam. And explosions. That is really pretty, isn't it? I mean, the stylized nature of the game is really, really nice. Really nice. You've also got torpedoes. This is another annoying thing, because the torpedoes require to be fired at a bearing. That makes a lot of sense. How do I figure out the bearing? Maybe the radar, so I can figure out a direction. Nope, there's no bearing tools here. All right. Maybe the combat stations. What if I click on one of these enemy vehicles? Oh, that gives me absolutely zero information whatsoever. Right? So it's not that. Maybe it's the holographic map. All right. Nope. In fact, you can't do anything with the holographic map whatsoever beyond seeing a topographical outlay. You can't even, like, ping on it to show other people, like, oh, there's an enemy over there, oh, there's AA over there, something like that. No. You can't draw any plans. And what's worse is, when you're using the holomap, nobody else on the carrier can click on it. So they can't even see what you see. They can only, look at the map like this, which is really bloody silly once more. We've collected our Albatross, and it's currently being lowered down there. So how do you get a bearing? Well, the only way to get a bearing is the compass up here. This gives you the bearing of your ship, which means figuring out the bearing of an enemy ship, you just have to point your ship towards it, look at that number, then put it into torpedo, and then fire. That's so stupid. That is absolutely ridiculously stupid. That is such an over-complex way of doing anything, ever. Oh, I hate it. I really do. Because that isn't even like a gameplay mechanic, really. You don't have like a person who has a computer who maybe has to do like a little mini-game almost. You know, English. The guy at the holomat, right? He sits there and is like, okay, I request a bearing at enemy ship, grid, whatever. There's no grid symbols either, by the way, just to make it even more difficult. But over there to the left, you know, like, all right, over here. So he can click on the carrier and he can draw out a line and be like, okay, I select this, and then maybe you have to actually do like a full-on measuring thing. Okay, my angle on the bow is this, its angle of the bow is this, ergo, I can then like click those two together to simplify it a little bit. So my bearing to this target relative to the carrier is going to be 130, for example. And then he can report that over to the weapons officer who fires the missiles, torpedoes. But no, instead, you just gotta point the whole damn thing at the enemy, guess, and then fire. And since you also can't get a good range bearing, though you can get a range bearing, like, you can see here, it's 2.1 kilometers to that rock. Alright, fantastic. I know how far away it is. How fast do the torpedoes travel? You guessed it. I don't know. That information is nowhere in the game. What's the range of the torpedoes? Again, I don't bloody know. That information is not in the game. Alright, so how many seconds do I put the delay before they're going active? Guess. No, my little vehicles are engaged here. That's lovely. In fact, let's look at the holographic map. Look at that. Beep, 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 beep. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that adorkable? It is adorkable. You know it's adorkable. It is adorkable. Oh, the lack of information is a genuine bloody nightmare. It is. Because it makes what should be an incredibly interesting and deep tactical experience into, well, figure out some way to jury-rig a way to get the information we need, or simply hope that the game locks onto the correct target and then, you know, just fire weapons, basically. Hope that it doesn't find another target to lock onto instead, and, pray. There you go. Bam, bam, bam. Also, look at this. How dumb is this? My aiming reticle is bright green. The lock-on reticle is bright green. I can't even see my own tracers right now. Like, am I hitting it? Oh, there we go. It starts blinking. That means I'm hitting it. Bam, 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 bam. At least have different colors on the aiming reticle, because this is not very good. This is not very good. This has problems, definitely. Oh, Walrus is fighting all the enemies out. Let's send you over there. Little virus bot, you can follow up on that. Can you see that? Yes, you can. Are you hitting it, or kind of? There we go. The AI is a little bit hit and miss. It can be fairly accurate and fairly effective, or it can be kind of garbage. Depends on how it's feeling on that particular day, frankly. Right, got any locks for you? I do. Box 1. We've got ourselves a seal to kill. Oh. Alright, I don't know what the hell that was. Maybe it intercepted me in mid-air? That seems unreasonable, but alright, I'm being shot at, or am I? No, they're just shooting the ground. Useful. Ugh. The markers are so big, I can't even see the enemy. I am presuming that they're over there, and I can see their hit point bar flashing, so I'm guessing I'm hitting something. Yes, yes, I am definitely hitting something. Wait, are you still alive? There we are. And once you've cleared out all of the enemies on the island, or in fact, you're kind of encouraged to not kill all of the enemies, because you can't rebuild anything at all. You can't rebuild anything. Which means if you want to defend islands from the enemy carrier, your only option is to kind of leave enemies alive. Yeah, the game does need the ability to actually build defenses, put turrets on the islands, put anti-air weaponry, put radar on them, etc. Oh, there's my barge coming. Thank God for that. Hopefully it's bringing me some fuel. That would be very, very nice. The game also needs a little bit more in the way of vehicles. If you're going to have this relatively simplistic system, because it is, I mean, you should be able to have so much more information at your fingertips. It's like they were thinking like, alright, we want this to be kind of arcadey, but at the same time also really, really autistic, which I don't think is a particularly good mix, honestly. If you're gonna go for a lot of complexity in terms of tactical cooperation between the players, you probably should also go for a lot of complexity in terms of the information at the player's disposal, so that they can actually feel like they're doing something worthwhile, beyond simply just, you know, manually steering vehicles around. You know, the weapon officer should be able to request bearings from the holographic table. He can then figure out the bearing, he can fire the torpedoes from the weapons officer. The helmsman should maybe be able to provide information like this as well. We've got enemies at so-and-so bearing, or maybe give him more control of the radar or something. Right now, there are a lot of tasks to be done, but each of the tasks is somewhat superficial, basically. I feel like there was a bit of a mix-up in the way they wanted to balance it in that regard, frankly. Walrus can go over there and kill that. Now that I've launched the virus bombs, you will see that the little thing will start ticking, and slowly but surely, I will take command over the island. What, little barge? What are you bringing me, then? You're bringing me IR missiles, laser missiles, and AA missiles. Right, well, all of that is useful, but I would prefer fuel. You're at the warehouse, you're unloading right now. Yeah, you're unloading the fuel. Okay, cool. What about the second one? That's returning to warehouse with... Nothing on board? Oh, I'm guessing that's heading back to fetch something for me then. Right, that makes a certain amount of sense. As I'm still requesting 60 fuel to be delivered to me, along with virus modules, actuated cameras, gimbals, observation cameras, artillery guns, and a lot of other stuff. Basically, my gameplay for the next hour or so is going to be sitting right here, waiting to be resupplied by barges. Maybe add in a supply helicopter. You can unlock different things as well, by the way. Right now, I've only got access to the Albatross flight chassis, for example, whilst I can also get access to a VTOL and a proper fighter aircraft as I capture more islands on the holographic map. So, for example, if I were to go over next to capture myself a, maybe there's an airbase nearby? No. But if I get this surface chassis here, I'll probably unlock the, maybe the bear chassis for production. And I might unlock more small arms munitions if I capture a couple of these, and so on. Though there aren't that many variants. Let's see here. You've got 3 surface chassis and 4 air chassis. Maybe have it be able to get some boats, because the AI has boats, but you don't have boats, which is a little bit sucky. Maybe you could have a full-on transport aircraft that maybe couldn't land on the carrier, but could resupply other warehouses, because if you're on a large map, you might be, you know, all the way up here, and I might have to be resupplied from this barge. That's gonna take forever. And I can't resupply directly from a manufacturing system, so it has to go through a warehouse. So obviously I wouldn't want the barges to bring fuel from down here all the way to me up here, so I'd want to create a temporary warehouse here with X amount of fuel, etc. Alright, but the barge is going to take forever, so the transport aircraft could land at the warehouse, fly up there, deliver it, then fly back, and so on and so on. more stuff. More stuff would always be good. Maybe add in some submarines, some mini-subs, absolutely, that could be awesome. Maybe add in some more weapon variants, like TV-guided missiles, small and large TV-guided missiles, like anti-ship missiles, straight-up exosets, instead of simply just having IR missiles. You could have seed missiles to track in on radar. All these kind of cool shit. And for the love of God, an in-game manual that explains all of this. Right now, you do have a manual here, which gives you some information, like naval weapons, torpedoes. Torpedoes travel in a set bearing until their activation delay expires and become active. Active torpedoes track enemy ships within their range and field of view, and will detonate on impact. Lovely. What's their range? What's their field of view? Not to mention, how do I get a bearing to fire the torpedoes? There is no explanation for this. Bearing, set the initial torpedo launch direction. Like, as a guy who plays Command Modern Operations for fun, this gives me a hernia. So many little things like that. So many elements of information that I absolutely need and that just aren't there. Just aren't there. In my opinion, this game, it needs more explanation, a lot more explanation. It needs perhaps a bit of AI so you can play it single player. Like maybe giving the AI the ability to like, okay, AI, attack this island and it'll dispatch surface threats, and maybe you go like, okay, only use aircraft or only use ground vehicles. Or AI, take care of my AA, because right now, if I've got the AA on, the weapons over there will actively track targets by themselves. But they will require you to manually go over here and push the button to actually fire the missile. Maybe you could automate that as well. Like, the civs are already automatic. Like, they will lock on and fire by themselves. Some small things, and some more general content, more stuff to play around with, more vehicles, more supply opportunities, and maybe some more story-based gameplay instead of simply just capture all of the islands on the map until you find the enemy carrier and then sink him. There's a lot of potential here, and the uniqueness of the game should absolutely be a key selling point in and of itself. It is such a cool concept, and I love the fact that microprose is now the only ones who actually take the chances to help develop and release games like this, and I want them to be successes, but a little bit more labor needs to be put into them. So, with all that being said, if you have 2 or 3 friends all willing to put down, for me it was $20 on sale, but apparently for Kyle in America it was $40 on sale with a release price of $50, and let me put it like this, in its current state, this game ain't worth $50. 30? Sure. 20? Absolutely. 50? Ugh. You need a bit more polish for that, honestly. So, Carrier Command 2. If you like what you've seen, there will be a link down in the description below, presuming I remember it, to the Steam store. Until next time, I'm Inoch, thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.